Dear viewers, this wasn't the way I planned to start the year 2026, but I'm sad to announce the passing of Jamaican reggae legend and genius multi-instrumentalist in the legendary Cat Coore, who went to meet Jah at the age of 76 on the evening of Sunday the 18th, 2026. As announced this morning by his publicists, he was among the most accomplished musicians that the island has ever produced, and the founder of one of the longest running bands in history in the legendary Third World. Let's pay a tribute to the life and times of the titan that was the great Stephen Cat Coore. Stephen Coore was born on April 6, 1950 in Kingston, Jamaica, to David Hilton Coore, a prominent lawyer and politician, and Rita Coore, an accomplished classical pianist and music teacher who has studied music and broadcasting at the Royal College in London. As a young kid, Stephen would gravitate to his mother every single time she played the piano at home. But by the age of 4, she noticed that he had a special love for string instruments and would enroll him in cello lessons. This move turned out to be the right one, as he took to that instrument like a natural and was so good that in no time he performed on national stages before he was even in his teens. And the most memorable was the contest at Jamaica Festival, where he beat contestants 3 times his age to win the silver medal. He was enrolled at the Foster Davis School of Music, where he soon learned to play an array of string instruments. He was by all means a classically trained string instrument player, but in 1962, at the age of 12, everything would turn 180 degrees, as ska had just exploded in popularity in Jamaica with the island getting independence, and rock was shaking the globe big time with the breakout success of the Beatles and the Rolling Stones around the same time. He fell head over heels in love with rock and asked his mother to buy him a guitar. She obliged him and he took to it like a duck to water, becoming an even better guitarist than a cello player. In fact, so good that he and some friends in his neighborhood formed a band called the Alley Cats and made a name for themselves very quickly, playing at birthday parties and other small gigs. It was from that band that he earned the nickname of Cat. It was all fun and games, but an encounter with some ex-schoolmates would take everything to the next level. The Lewis brothers, comprised of Ian and Roger Lewis, were also music enthusiasts and had formed a band called Inner Circle. They were ex-students of the prestigious Jamaica College and were already tight enough to play at venues where professional musicians also came to jam. And one of such places was a nightclub in Kingston called The Tunnel. And at the end of each gig, they had a practice of inviting other musicians in the building to come and jam with them on stage. And the then 19-year-old Cat Coore was also a regular at The Tunnel and would often take up the challenge and dazzle both the band and his crowd with his guitar skills. Eventually, Inner Circle's guitarists would emigrate to the US, and they were so impressed with him that they invited Cat to join them as his replacement. Along with a new vocalist called Bonnie Ruggs, Inner Circle became one of the top bands in Jamaica and were in heavy demand to work as studio session instrumentalists. They would play on numerous songs like Cherry Oh Baby by a then unknown singer called Eric Donaldson, and Would You Believe, Stir It Up on the Catch a Fire album by the Wailers, even though they weren't credited for their role. Cat Coore would learn plenty from being in that band, but that group was essentially a cover band with no original material of their own, and Cat Coore got restless with performing covers of top 40 hits and made a decision to leave the band. When he made his feelings known, 3 members in Milton Hamilton, Michael Ibo Cooper, and singer Bonnie Ruggs were already in the spirit, and the 4 of them decided to go and do their own thing. They would add bassist Richard Daly, percussionist Edwin Jarrett, and drummer Cornell Marshall, and formed their new band, which they named Third World in 1973. And they announced their presence that year with a performance at that year's edition of Jamaica's Independence Concert. Cat's father, David Coore, was by then Deputy Prime Minister of Jamaica and watched proudly as his son's band put in a spectacular show. After doing their thing on the Kingston circuit for a while, they moved their operation to England, and without a record label behind them, they financed and recorded their debut single, Railroad Track. This stunning first effort quickly brought them under the radar of Chris Blackwell, who signed them to Island Records in 1974, and they released their sublime self-titled debut album in 1976. Led by Cat, the band's debut introduced the world to their soulful, funky cinematic sound, with tracks like Sun Won't Shine, Brand New Beggar, and the cover of the Abyssinians classic Insata Masagana. After opening for Bob Marley, who was on tour of the UK to promote the album Rastaman Vibration, Cat and his band went into the studio to work on the music for their next album. And while working on a song on a particularly hot day that the air conditioning wasn't working, the blazing heat inspired Cat and Michael Ibo Cooper to come up with the title of the song 96 Degrees in the Shade, which they fleshed out into a story about the Morant Bay Rebellion of 1865. That song became the title track for their second album that came out in 1977. Their third album, In Journey to Addis, was an even bigger commercial smash, with monster singles like Cool Meditations and Now That We Found Love. Coore brought his classical training and eclectic musical tastes to bear on third world sound and never shied away from infusing other elements like rock, soul, and funk into their music. Bunny Ruggs was the lead singer, but my, Coore had one of the most amazing voices I've ever heard, and would sometimes wow audiences on lead vocals at live shows. And as for his guitar play, his musical background saw him make his guitar sing like a rock guitarist. And if you're making a list about the greatest guitarists in reggae history, Coore is definitely on it. The eclectic brilliance of Journey to Addis saw third world bag legions of new fans from other genres around the world. They would put out 3 more albums with Island Records before moving to CBS Records, and they would continue their fine form into the 80s, bagging mega hits like Try Ja Love, Dancing on the Floor, and Forbidden Love, which earned that band their 3rd Grammy nomination. Cat and the Guys stayed very consistent into the 90s as one powerful unbreakable unit until Michael Ibo Cooper quit the group in 1997 to take up a position as a music teacher at the Edna Manley College of Visual and Performing Arts. In that same year, drummer Willie Stewart also quit the group, but the band would soldier on even after lead singer Bunny Ruggs had to step down over ill health in 2013. And notwithstanding, Coore continued to tour non-stop with Third World, putting in breathtaking performances at live shows all over the globe to ecstatic audiences year in year out. And last year, I was thrilled to see Cat keep doing his thing in what was one of the oldest groups on the globe. He and Third World were supposed to perform next week in Florida alongside Burning Spear and other icons. That's why I was really shocked when the news broke this morning that Stephen Coore had passed away suddenly at the age of 76. This icon received countless accolades and individual awards, like Jamaica's Order of Distinction, 9 Grammy Award nominations, the Caribbean Heritage Luminary Award, several Lifetime Achievement Awards, and many more. His was indeed a life well spent, and he survived by his wife, children, and grandchildren. It's a very sad day, but as they say, death is part of life. And we can take comfort in knowing that his impact on the cultural and musical landscapes of the world will stay with us until the end of time, and the great Coore will always be in our hearts, and may his wonderful soul rest in perfect peace.